Okay, let's get started. Hello, everyone. Welcome again. My name is Sam, and I am a PhD candidate in the Sociology Department here and a GSSA in Rackham's Professional Development and Engagement Office. If no one has said it already, I welcome you to Rackham. Today's program is brought to you by Graduate School 101, Grad School 101. And both this program and so many more helpful resources can be found in the portal for Grad School 101. All incoming students have been given access to it on Canvas, and I know that emails have gone out about it as well. Grad School 101 has a bunch of information that is very specific to your experience here at Rackham, starting as a new graduate student. So please give yourself some time to just peek through and see all the ways that the portal can serve you. And if you have any questions, you can shoot them our way through our Submit a Question feature in the portal. Today's program specifically is about the resources available to master students in Rackham's Office of Financial and, excuse me, in Rackham's Office of Finance and Fellowships with its Assistant Director, Adam Lucier. Before we begin, I'd like to mention a few items that will help cultivate a rewarding time together. Please, can you change your name to the name that you registered with so that we know that you are here? Can you also please take a moment to do not disturb any notifications on your computer or your phone if that is possible? If it is not, we understand. And it would be great to have your cameras on so that Adam can feel as if he's speaking to, actual humans instead of a room full of computers. And I also understand if that is not accessible to you. And I also want to offer a reminder that this event is being recorded and so that you can come back to it whenever you need. So Adam will share his presentation with us and then we'll have plenty of time for questions at the end. Adam, take it away.
Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. First of all, please excuse me. My voice probably sounds fine right now, but throughout the presentation, it may fade. I'm recovering from a little bronchitis, so it may, hopefully it hangs in there for the full hour. So my name is Adam Lucier again, and I am the Assistant Director for Rackham Finance and Fellowships. And for the next 50 minutes or so, we're going to tackle a topic that's hopefully high on everyone's priority list here in this meeting, how to finance your master's degree. So my goal today isn't just to list a bunch of resources to you, but hopefully provide some practical strategies and insights that can genuinely make a difference for you. We're going to cover a lot. I'll be sure to leave time for your questions at the end. So we will be exploring external funding, opportunities directly from Rackham, and crucially, what your own academic department, your academic home here in Ann Arbor can offer. It's important to understand this from the outset. The funding model for graduate students, especially at the master's level, is quite different from what you may have experienced as an undergraduate. There's generally less, quote, free money available, and a lot of the support is highly targeted and competitive. Your academic program is truly going to be one of your most significant partners in this. They're usually the first ones to tell you about fellowships, assistantships, or specific scholarships right at the point of admission. So at this point, if you have been offered aid to start your master's degree, you would have heard at the point of admission. They also possess invaluable institutional knowledge about how students in your specific program have secured funding in the past. Given this, one of the key action items from this session is to explore contacting your program's graduate office or exploring their funding web pages. For instance, I just use this as an example, but if you're in SEAS, the School for Environment and Sustainability, they have a great master's funding opportunities page that has Rackham opportunities, SEAS opportunities, and other funding opportunities that students in that program have received in the past. So a lot of the other academic programs also have similar sites and have advisors within the departments that can help guide you in those paths. So moving into one of our specific Rackham opportunities that's very popular for master's and our PhD students is the Rackham Graduate Student Travel Grant. This is a great resource if your academic journey involves presenting your work. Specifically, this grant supports travel for conferences and anytime that you're presenting work. So sometimes we have people that are on panels, doing poster presentations, things like that. So it's really about enabling you to showcase your Michigan caliber work and your research and expand your network among peers and scholars in your field. It's open to all Rackham Master students, and eligibility details can be found on our website. It's $900 for domestic travel and up to $1,400 for international locations. An application is required. The deadlines vary by your travel date. Typically, the deadline is basically going to be the date of the conference that you're hoping to attend. So you want to make sure to kind of plan ahead. So if your conference is on July 1st, maybe start planning a couple months ahead and getting your grant applications in. Next, something that I hope you'll never need, but it is crucial to be aware of, the Rackham Emergency Fund. This isn't for tuition or rent. It's for those truly kind of unforeseen financial crises that can derail your studies. Things like sudden, unexpected financial emergencies, medical bills, deaths in the family, illnesses, caretaker responsibilities that have all of a sudden come up, urgent crisis travel, things like that. The process is fast and it's confidential, and the amount awarded varies upon your specific need. The maximum is $2,500 for a one emergency fund. This is a vital safety net, so make sure to keep that in mind if life ever throws you a curveball during your master's degree. So for those engaged in research, the Rackham Graduate Student Research Grant is also a great resource. These grants are broad in coverage. It funds everything from research materials and participant incentives to travel for research, specialized equipment, and even specific software for a Michigan-based project. So if you're working on a thesis, a substantial research project, a creative activity, these grants are designed to alleviate some of those direct costs. These are for Rackham Master students, and we also provide these to our PhD students. And the good news is that the applications are reviewed on a rolling basis, so there isn't a set deadline, but keep in mind the processing time for these can be 8 to 12 weeks, so plan early. The reason it takes 8 to 12 weeks is there's quite an intensive review process here within the graduate school, and there are PhDs that review these applications and then will respond back to you with questions and things like that. But don't worry, most of them are approved. It's an intensive review process to make sure that the research is aligning with your degree progress. And next, the Rackham International Student Fellowship. For our international students, this is a particularly significant award. It's tailored to assist outstanding international students, particularly those who may not be eligible for certain other forms of support due to their citizenship. So this fellowship offers stipend or tuition assistance, providing $14,500 in either the winter or the spring-summer term. It's highly competitive. There's a limited number of awards, and both PhD and master's students are eligible for this. So it requires a departmental nomination. So it is critical that you reach out to your department proactively about their nomination process to make sure that you're on track with that. And some other Rackham funding opportunities. So beyond those kind of core grants that I talked about earlier, there's a rich array of other campus funding opportunities through Rackham Graduate School. These awards include the Gupta Value Scholarship, which recognizes students for leadership and integrity, the Radcliffe Ramsdell Fellowship for those pursuing advanced studies in religious education or ministry. There are also the Shapiro Malik Forrest Awards for academic achievement and service, the King Chavez Parks KCP Future Faculty Fellowship for underrepresented Michigan residents aiming for future faculty roles, and the Rackham International Research Award for all master's students that are doing research conducted abroad. Additionally, we have support the Travel with Children grant. This provides up to $750 for student parents traveling for academic or professional reasons. And many of these, again, require a departmental nomination. A lot of the funding opportunities are on our webpage, but if you go to our webpage, it's easy to find. Just go to Google, type in Rackham funding. It'll come up with our page. You'll see a list of a lot of different opportunities. You can sort ones by nomination and ones by application. So anything that says nomination, you're going to want to speak to your program about, but also make sure that you're looking at ones that are eligible for master's students, because there are PhD and masters, and then ones that are for both a PhD and masters. So again, this really underscores that importance of making your department your primary information hub. It pays to explore these options based on your individual profile with your program. So next, one takeaway or one web address that I really want you to take away today is not just the Rackham funding page, but also the U of M Library Scholarships and Fellowships portal. Honestly, like this is my go-to portal when I'm kind of guiding students for that are looking for scholarships and fellowships. Again, it's an easy Google. I will have the links in this presentation afterwards, but just Google U of M Library Graduate Fellowships Portal or something like that. It'll be the first link that comes up usually. This is a really comprehensive resource and it is constantly updated. They also have advisors there that'll help you with grants and fellowship applications. So it curates a ton of information and links, hundreds of internal and external scholarships that have been vetted. So none of them are scams or anything like that. It's not like you're going to, I don't want to call out FastWeb, but just, a general search engine that's just going to show you a ton of opportunities. These are really targeted for students and they've been vetted by the university. So there are some search engines on there that'll let you sort by your discipline, deadlines, things like that. There's also a link on there that says funding databases for U of M affiliates. And we'll talk about that in a little bit, but that also is like major search engines that will connect you with a lot of different opportunities. So, one second. Excuse me. For your timeline and strategy, one of the most important tips I can give you is to start early, as we kind of talked about earlier. Most scholarships and grant applications open months in advance, and they're highly competitive. So it is a great strategy to maybe keep like a Excel sheet that has all of the deadlines, required documents, and contact information for each opportunity so that you can stay organized. Make it a habit now to start checking for new opportunities monthly using that U of M Library Scholarships portal, as I mentioned. And then also make sure you have a strong and polished documents, including your CV or your resume, a personal statement that you've at least thought about, because a lot of these applications have a personal statement that's involved, and strong letters of recommendation. Don't hesitate to schedule advising meetings and attend information sessions or funding workshops. These resources can provide invaluable tips and support through the application process. So beyond what Rackham offers, your own academic department is going to be a crucial source of funds. Many U of M academic departments offer grants, travel awards, emergency grants, and merit-based scholarships specific to their students. So always ask your faculty advisor or graduate coordinator. They can provide information about department-specific opportunities. And then there are the big prestigious national specialty awards like Fulbright's, NSF, GRFP. These are highly competitive, but they offer significant financial support and immense recognition. These scholarships are not the norm for most master's students. So I don't want you to think that. It really is a matter of identifying and competing for those select opportunities that might fit your profile. You can expand your search using the funded databases for U of M affiliates that I talked about earlier, and I'm going to go into a bit more details about those in a second. And those are also going to be great to help you narrow down opportunities that fit for you. So to assist with the essential early planning that I'm recommending, here are some major external funding databases. These resources will extend your search beyond the immediate University of Michigan sphere. ProFellow, for example, this is an excellent international database for fellowships and competitive opportunities. For STEM students who are U.S. citizens or permanent residents, the NSF GRFP is a hugely important national opportunity. And the Pivot Funding Database, which is accessible using your U of M login credentials, is a comprehensive global resource for grants and fellowships. You can also explore other university databases. Some of the ones that we recommend is GRAPES from UCLA, Fellowship Finder from Duke, and IAE funding for US study, a lot of kind of abroad situations with the IAE funding website. These external funding sources, also linked on that library website, are valuable tools. So utilizing those databases will significantly expand your potential funding landscape. Some resources for international students. For funding, there's a great link right on the International Center webpage. The way that I usually will kind of find these web pages, I just go to the International Center and on their left-hand side, they've got their kind of ways that you can guide. So they have a great thing about employment information. So if you have questions about international, being an international student and wanting to be employed, there are some great resources about understanding the regulations around working while studying. There are international student funding FAQs, which is important because international students aren't eligible for federal aid. So it does provide some other scholarships and departmental opportunities that are, connected for international students. And also there's other campus resources like advocacy, legal support, and further grant and award searches on their website. So definitely take a look at that. Next, I want to talk about the Office of Financial Aid a little bit. So let's talk about loans, which for many is a necessary component of funding graduate education. I wish that wasn't the case, but it is, our current landscape. So since grants and fellowships are, sometimes limited, loans do play a large role for many students. So for U.S. citizens and permanent residents, the Office of Financial Aid can guide you through any questions that you have about that process. Federal direct unsubsidized loans, which are up to $20,500. It does require a FAFSA. Beyond the federal options, there's also the Graduate Plus loans with upcoming changes for 25 or for this after this year, 26, 20 into 26, 27. Also university specific loans, and there's private loan options also that the university has vetted, and they have a website that has all the private loan links that they've vetted. The Office of Financial Aid also provides valuable resource to help you understand the nuances of borrowing, interest accrual, and importantly, planning for repayment through their loan repayment resources. So it is about making informed decisions about your financial future, and they are a great resource right here on campus. So I do have to speak on this because it really is a critical update for graduate students. And if you are borrowing or plan on borrowing, then this will greatly impact you. So the HR 1 Act, signed on July 4th, will eliminate Graduate Plus loans for a new borrower starting in the 26-27 academic year. So if you're currently a Plus loan borrower, you may have limited eligibility to continue. So make sure to check with the U of M Office of Financial Aid as you progress through this academic year and you start thinking about planning into next academic year. A lot of this is still up in the air. The Office of Financial Aid has a news section where they're providing any updates based on their guidance from the existing Department of Education. So make sure to keep an eye on that. Don't hesitate to meet with a financial aid counselor. This is a significant policy shift, and we don't want students to end up in bad situations with their loans. So make sure to stay connected with the Office of Financial Aid for any upcoming changes with that. And next, beyond loans and scholarships, the Office of Financial Aid does offer various forms of aid, like work study. They administer the student employment website and also a very important program called the Child Care Subsidy Program. So as far as campus employment goes, work study offers paid part-time students with financial need, and that's based on your FAFSA. And then there are student employment jobs all over campus. A lot of them have great valuable experience that you can gain, steady income, flexible hours around your academic schedule. Child Care Subsidy Program offers financial help for eligible student parents based on their income and their child care expenses. Apply early for this because there are deadlines for that subsidy program. And then for urgent, unforeseen financial needs, the Office of Financial Aid also has short-term university loans. So these are 0% loans, and they're usually repayable within 90 days. And they're not for large amounts. I think it's like $750 or $1,000, but it's just a 0% loan, and there's no fees or anything. And it's just to kind of help you get through some rough situations if they're not of significant financial amounts. So check the student employment website. If you're looking for that, just go to Google and type in UMich student employment, and then it'll let you look at work study jobs and non-work study jobs. And you can start taking a look at those. Apply early. Some of the best positions, kind of get filled, rather quickly. And so start looking now. Beyond the specific grants and loans, the University of Michigan is also committed to financial well-being. So the Office of Financial Aid has dedicated financial wellness resources, individual coaching sessions, discuss budgeting, debt management, financial planning, tailored to your unique financial aid situation. And they also provide workshops and online tools on their website to help you build strong financial habits. Additionally, you might find valuable support through student legal services, and that is something that you pay for with your University of Michigan fees, and that can provide advice on financial contracts or landlord-tenant issues. So make sure to keep an eye, or keep that in the back of your mind. Also, the Dean of Students Office, sometimes referred to as DOS, on campus, can sometimes assist with unexpected financial hardships. So they also have an emergency grant program also. A very important point to understand is how new awards might affect your existing financial aid. So this is really for people that have FAFSA aid, work study, or student loans. So receiving a new fellowship or a grant or a scholarship can significantly change your financial aid package. So the Office of Financial Aid can't allow you to receive more financial aid than your cost of attendance, which includes tuition, living expenses, personal money, books. The cost of attendance is supposed to kind of include everything for your education. And so if you receive something that is going to exceed that cost of attendance, then they're going to need to reduce something in your financial aid package. So let's say you get a travel grant from us and it's $1,000 and you're already at your full cost of attendance. You could see your loan reduced or a childcare subsidy reduced because that's a need-based award. So if you're receiving any additional aid and you're on FAFSA aid, on loans, things like that, make sure to just always consult with the Office of Financial Aid to make sure that that's going to fit into your financial aid package. And if it's not going to fit in, how can you get it to fit in? Sometimes that involves doing something called like a budget adjustment or a cost of attendance adjustment, where they might be able to take into account other things in your life, in your educational expenses that they're not already accounting for. So, I know I've covered a lot of ground really quickly. I do talk fast. Apologies for that. So it's a lot of information to absorb. I think some of the key takeaways is hopefully that you're not alone in this journey. There really are a lot of resources around campus to help you secure funding. Some of the essential websites to bookmark, the Rackham funding page is our web page, the Office of Financial Aid webpage, where you're going to see news and information about FAFSA, loans, deadlines, things like that. The U of M search portal, which is that library website that I was telling you about earlier, and the funding databases for external opportunities also available through the library. For our international students, there's also specialized resources available, and I provide that link. That's on that library website also. I mean, I can't tell you enough. That library website really is like the most comprehensive resource at the University of Michigan when it comes to looking for different opportunities, internal, external, all over the place. So let's see, that is it there. So that's the end of the formal presentation. I hope that's at least clarified some of the complexities of graduate funding at Michigan and giving you some actionable steps. So remember, being proactive, persistent does make the difference. You can stay up to date by checking the Rackham news and events and the financial news pages. And I'd like to open the floor up to your questions. Thank you for having me, and go Blue.
Thank you, Adam. There are some questions in the chat. Someone asks about the fact that financial aid package can't be more than the cost of attendance. Is this a new policy or is this just for graduate students?
Nope, that is actually something that's been in place for quite a while. And so it really only affects students that have those loans. But there are options such as a budget adjustment to kind of help you out of that situation. So it does happen with undergraduate students a lot too, where if they are fully packaged with aid, so sometimes students are on grants and Pell Grant and then student loans, if they get additional aid on top, it's going to reduce their existing aid. But check with the financial aid for your specific situation because with private loans, like a loan through Sally Mae or Chase or something like that, There are different like effects on those loans than that they have on the federal loans, where it's much more strict, where they can't let you go above that cost of attendance. Good question.
Thank you. Can the Office of Financial Aid help with possible fellowships that have not yet been granted? For instance, if someone is thinking about applying to a fellowship and have also been offered work study help.
So they don't necessarily like help apply for fellowships. That's usually something that your graduate program is going to be your best contact for. So I would usually try to find whoever the graduate coordinator is in your academic department. And sometimes that just means like emailing the general email address for your academic program and saying, hey, I'd like to connect with my graduate coordinator. Sometimes they may have already reached out to you through email, or they may be on your admissions offer or things like that. But that's who I would start with, would be your graduate coordinator. They may connect you with like a faculty advisor or somebody like that within your program. But yeah, the Office of Financial Aid doesn't know too much about like grant and fellowship applications. I did see today though, this was brand, I didn't even know this, but on that library funding webpage, they have something at the bottom that where you can set up an advising appointment. And it looks like they actually have staff that are there to help you with grant and fellowship applications, including like how to like write a good letter of recommendation, how to polish your CV. So that is a great resource also.
Wonderful. Thank you. Someone asks, does declining aid 1 year preclude you from being awarded aid in the future?
So if we're talking about federal financial aid, like through the Office of Financial Aid, the answer would be no. It does not preclude you from applying and being offered future federal financial aid. So you can totally decline it for this year. And then you can also usually reinstate too. So like let's say you decline your whole loan right now, and then you find in January or February, oh no, I need money for this educational expense. You can contact the Office of Financial Aid and ask them to reinstate a portion of the canceled loan.
Awesome. So someone asks, this person who asked the previous question about whether the Office of Financial Aid can help with fellowships, they wanted to specify.
Yes, yes, please.
So they were thinking of a full tuition fellowship, but it only covers 1 semester. But if they have a work study, could that apply for further semesters? They don't want to be turned down for work studies if they earn this fellowship.
Yeah, that sounds like a pretty like specific situation. I don't want to give you guidance that might be wrong because I just can't, I don't have your student account open in front of me. So I would really suggest speaking with a financial aid officer over there at the Office of Financial Aid. Sometimes as we get closer to the year, they do get backed up a little bit in their email. I find that the quickest way, if you're on campus, is just to like drop right into their office and they have just walk-in advising, and there's usually no wait. The phone can be a little bit of a wait, but that is something that they would be able to answer for you over the phone, I think.
Thank you, Adam. Is
Yeah.
financial aid available for international students?
So fellowships and grants, there are a lot of fellowships and grants that international students do apply for and do, take with them here at the University of Michigan. But as far as federal financial aid goes, there aren't any federal financial aid options. We do see a lot of international students that take out private loans, sometimes through their home country, through private banks. And those would be administered through the Student Financial Services Office here on campus. And if you search for, maybe student financial services, third party payments, that's where a lot of that information would come up. The International Center also has in their funding area some information about loans and things like that. So there are loans available to international students, just typically they're not going to be through US banks or the federal government.
Thank you. So does that mean that there is aid available for living expenses for international students?
That there certainly is. So there are aid that you can apply for. It's just not going to be through the federal government. So something for an example would be like the International Student Fellowship that Rackham offers. Students awarded that, it's $14,500, and they can use that towards tuition or a direct stipend. And then there are opportunities that might be through your academic program that you should explore, and opportunities on some of those links that you can search for. But other than the Rackham International Fellowship, that's the only award that is specifically for international students that we offer.
Understood. Adam, how does someone get a FAFSA loan for this current academic year? When is the deadline?
Sure. So for graduate students, there typically isn't a deadline because you're not qualifying for things like Pell Grant and things like that. So submit your FAFSA and contact the Office of Financial Aid. They are still processing FAFSAs for graduate students. The standard award that you're going to get when you submit your FAFSA is going to be $20,500 in an unsubsidized loan, which you can accept or decline or take a part of. And you can even designate, say, I only want 5,000 in the fall and I want 7,000 in the winter. And again, you can adjust those amounts. And as far as the plus loan goes, the graduate plus, that is a loan that you can put on top of the unsubsidized loan. And those applications are ongoing also throughout the year. But just make sure to contact the Office of Financial Aid. I no longer work in that office, and so if you do have like specific questions, just make sure to talk to them. But they are still processing FAFSAs for graduate students and still processing plus loan applications.
Thank you. Adam, do you know anything about the Dow Sustainability Fellowship specifically? Are C
I
students
don't.
directed to this fellowship especially?
I don't know much about that specific award. I have seen C students get that funding in the past. So I would talk to the graduate coordinator over there. There's a person, a funding advisor named Mark Romanowski, who's been at C's for a long time. So he's a great contact over there. That's Mark Romanowski. And I don't have specific information on it, but I have seen C students receive that funding.
Thank you. Does anyone else have any questions for Adam? If some come to you later, you can always reach out to Adam via email.
Yeah. Our email, take this down, is rackhamff@umich.edu. And we're really quick. We usually get back to you within hours. So,
Wonderful. We've got one more.
yes.
Do you know if the department merit-based scholarships are automatically processed through the Office of Financial Aid?
Yeah, it's a good question. So, all aid at the University of Michigan is routed through the Office of Financial Aid. And so they do that so that it's accounted for in your federal financial aid package with your loans and everything like that. So, yes, all aid would be routed through OFA. Where it gets a little confusing sometimes is if you're employed as like a GSI or GSSA or something like that, then those stipends are not routed through the Office of Financial Aid. Those are all going to be paid to you directly in the form of a paycheck, just like if you had any other job. And those positions are also, you can find those on the student employment webpage also. But we find that a lot of students find GSI positions and things like that straight through their academic department. So speaking with graduate coordinator, faculty advisors, people like that are most often going to connect you with those positions.
Thank you. And to clarify, do the fellowships for international students cover full tuition fees?
Nope. The only one that Rackham offers is that Rackham International Fellowship, and that's $14,500. I'm certainly not going to say that there is no fellowship or grant that exists that covers a student's full tuition and fees and stipends. There are, and there's those search websites that you can kind of find ones that are tailored to your academic program and your specific profile. And that would be same for our domestic students too. There are fellowships and grants. But for master students, I mean, I'm not going to mislead you. For master students, they're very highly competitive because they're limited. If and when you get into a PhD program, the University of Michigan provides full 5-year support for PhD students. So do have that in the back of your mind. If you're ever interested in a PhD program, it's tuition stipend and your grad care health insurance. But for master's students, the funding is very limited, and that's nationally. It's not just a University of Michigan kind of issue. It is a national thing. So, great question.
All right. Thank you, Adam. Thank you, everyone. We have an evaluation form that we'd like you to fill out so that we can better create programming for you in the future. I am putting the link in the chat. Please just open the tab, answer it once you're free, a little later today or tomorrow. But other than that, thank you for being here. We'll see you at the next Grad School 101 event.